In this skills demonstration, I'd like to talk with you about the location sensor. It works an awful lot like the orientation and motion sensors we looked at in the previous session. However, there's a bunch of other cool stuff we can do with this sensor that makes it worth looking at on its own. Let's take a look. Okay, so there's a couple of ways that your phone can get its location. It can understand its location via the GPS or via the network that it's on. Right now, let's just make sure that our phone is enabled to connect to the GPS system. So I'm going to go into Settings, and under Location Services, we can see that our GPS satellites are enabled. So that allows our device to communicate with the GPS system to get its location. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, let's take a look at this from the App Inventor side of things. Okay, so getting the location sensor going is quite simple. We're going to go under the sensors tray again, and here is the location sensor. We drop it on, and of course it has no visible component to it. Now when we talk about the location sensor, primarily what we're concerned with are longitude and latitude coordinates. So let me go ahead, I'm going to add two text boxes here to allow us to display those values. I'm just going to rename them real quick. I'm going to rename this one latitude, and I'm going to name this one longitude. Okay, good. Let's take a look at our block editor. And you almost know what's coming here too, right? With the location sensor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to respond to an event, and that is when the location changes, when the GPS detects that the phone has moved from one location to another. And this often includes the first time it connects as well. Okay, when the location sensor changes, I want to set the text property of the latitude text box to the latitude value. And likewise, I'm going to set the longitude text box to the longitude value. Okay, let's take a look at our device, and we see, lo and behold, it's already got those values populated in. That is the latitude and longitude values of the location in which I'm currently sitting. Pretty cool. I'm not sure about you, though, but I don't know how to interpret those very well. I suppose if I got out an atlas or a map or something, it would be able to help me. Let me do one more thing here. I'm going to go back into my designer, and I'm going to add a button. And the button is going to display something for me. What's it going to display? Well, let's see what the button says. The button says, get the address. The address. So if I push the button, what I'd like to have happen is my address appearing in this label here. That sounds complex, doesn't it? In fact, it's quite simple using the block editor. So when the button is clicked, I would like the locations, I would like to set the label, it's text property, and I'd like the location sensor to tell me, hey, what's your current address? Do you believe it? Let's take a look. Get the address, and there we are, 8120 Jennings Drive, University of Northern Iowa, Cedar Falls, Iowa. That's where I am right now. That's my address. That's pretty awesome. We can go one further, can't we, though? Because we know how to go out on the web and say, show me on a map where that address is, right? If I add a web viewer here, I can go back into my block editor, and I can also say, I'd like the web viewer to go to the URL. Let's see, what URL do I want? http://maps.google.com/?q equals. Okay, what does it want? It actually is going to want the longitude and latitude coordinates. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to join those together. I want the root URL, and I want the latitude, longitude, and Google's going to expect those to be separated by commas. So I'm going to add one more value in there. So I want the location sensor to tell me its latitude. I need a literal value of a comma to separate them. And I want the location sensor to tell me its longitude. I'm going to bundle that together with this URL, and I'm going to tell the web viewer to go to that location. To go to Google Maps, and here's the latitude and longitude where I currently am. Let's see it in action. So here we go. Get the address, and there we go. It's loading up. I'm going to scroll that a little bit. I'm going to zoom. Oops. I'm going to try and zoom out. Oops. That's not, come on. There we go. Oh, it's still loading up. Let's let it load up first. There we go. Now we can zoom. And we can see here I am sitting just on the edge of campus of the University of Northern Iowa on my maps. Okay. Now, what I showed you was just a simple display of this information, but we can imagine using it for all kinds of computations, right? We can use it for what? Tracking my locations, for, well, earlier on we saw the idea of taking a picture. I can take a picture and track the coordinates of where that picture was taken. Maybe I'm doing some sort of citizen science project where I'm trying to track the progress of the emerald ash borer beetle that's infesting the area here. And I want to say, hey, here's a picture of one, and here's where I was when I took the picture. And I can send that information into some researchers who are tracking that bug. Anyway, there's lots of cool things I can do with my location. So what I'm showing you is how to get the location, and then it's up to you to figure out how you want to use that location in your apps. But now you know how using App Inventor.